Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast One Piece reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is One Piece, episodes 245 and 246. Last time, CP9 was unveiled. They're a secret information gathering agency of the world government, said not to exist. There's CP1 to 8, there's CP9. They're just a myth, they're a ghost. And they are here to get some very critical information on a certain battleship, ancient blueprint stuff that apparently Franky has all this time. Are they in his lovely lady's hair, and that's why it looks like that? And why they're so, they want to walk sideways to make sure that it doesn't blow away? Or did he take it somewhere on the train? And what's the deal with this old lady?
Yeah, she's
Is
still
that Franky's
mysterious.
mom?
Could be.
Is that girl Franky's kid? That would be crazy.
Maybe it's for the best that she's in the custody of her grandmother.
We shall see. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's see all the things that come through this episode. Why is Robin on their side? What's her deal? How did she know Tom? Did Tom teach her about poneglyphs? Or was it somebody else? Are they alive or dead? We shall see. Probably not this time, but eventually. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out Patreon to get 2 weeks ahead of uncut reactions, 1 week ahead of edited reactions. Let's see what happens this time on One Piece. He looks really cool. He's like Slash from fucking Guns N' Roses.
And then it's this really tense moment, and the OP's just like, yeah.
When's Sanji gonna show up? What's he up to?
Yeah.
Mr. Prince.
Turns out some lady like invited him in to shelter from the storm. He's just like in her house cooking her a 5-course meal.
I want to get a gentle cook shirt. A little V-neck. These guys aren't doing a very good job of keeping their super secret intelligence agency secret.
Yeah.
I know they intend to kill everyone, but they also intended to kill him in the last room, and they just taped him to the ground.
Rope action. Oh, no.
Whoa!
Ooh.
Oh!
Ow!
Jesus. Whoa, what?
Excuse me?
It is another thing.
They did the One Punch Man workout.
So they can all do Iron Body. Can they all do double jump? Shave? That must be what she was doing. Did we hear that?
That's what the bear guy did earlier.
Yeah. Finger pistol. There's 6 different moves, right? That's what he said.
I think he didn't have a sharpened up fingernail.
Yeah, it would have been over. Would have been over right there. Gomu Ninja. I feel like Zoro's a perfect match for this guy right now. He can do iron. He can cut metal. He can cut metal, and his swords are pretty damn sharp. And he can like sense shit around him. Do it. Because we're fucking pirates and you're the part of the government. You want to... What? Yes, Robin. Say it.
が悪いの。お別れは言ったはずよ。伝えてくれなかったの？伝えたよ。なんでだロビン。私の願いを叶える。決して叶わない。
Okay, Sasuke.
遂げるためなら私はどんな犠牲も厭わない。
それで平気で仲間を安全がいってのは何だ。
話す必要がない。
確かにニコロビン、お前は自分が何をやろう。
何も言う権利はないはずよ。黙っていなさい。
アイスバーグさん。
誰にも邪魔はさせない。
What happened to make her like flip this switch? You know, like what the fuck is going on with her? A minute ago she was having cocktails on the boat, reading books, and now she's all oh.
うん。
ロビン、どうしちゃったんだ。どうにもできるのか。ロビン。
悪いがそこまでにしてもらおう。
Oh, that's what you need?
そう探さなきゃならないんだ。急いでいい。この屋敷にももう用はないし、あとどれくらいだ。
2分よ。
あと2分でこの屋敷は炎に
All the unconscious people just in the halls.
この証拠を消すのに炎は有効な手段なければ速やかに屋敷を出ることだ。それができればの話だな。だから俺たちを消す気らしいな。ニコ・ロビンも向こうにいたようだな。ロビンの下船には納得できたのか。
No, she didn't give us a good enough reason. She's staying with us.
I don't want a divorce.
部屋から火の手が上がる。犯人は海賊もあるだろう。お前ら。
かぶって好き放題なんて趣味悪いわね。
高面に不都合もなかろう。
What about the other people?
私は先に行くわ。
ああ、役目は果たした。
認めねえぞ。さようなら。
Where do you think you're going?
行かせるな、ニコロビンを。
またどこ行くんだよ。やっと見つけたのに。
来い。
Ow.
その広角にまで高度を高められる。しかし
How? How on earth can you do that?
Explain it's like their teachings.
It's just
Paper art.
let him go.
全然当たらねえ。こんなでかいのに。まるで紙みたいに。ロビン。
You guys can step in whenever you want. A
Yeah.
team.
また消えた。
ように見えるほどの爆発的な脚力が。
Oh yeah, moonwalk.
受けことさえできる。
Ooh,
Holy shit.
damn.
That's a lot like Zoro's like sword slash things, isn't it?
But without swords.
But without swords. Didn't Zoro do it without a sword one time? Maybe I'm wrong. The chisel.
お前船大工じゃなかったんだな。あの時の船の査定。残念ながら船の査定は真面目に。
Damn it.
Bullshit.
Holy, that window is so far away.
Yeah, she's been walking for like 5 straight minutes to get a quarter of the way through the
She didn't
room.
realize there was a treadmill right in front of the window.
Yeah, it's like, oh. You said that earlier.
Yeah, and then
And
look
you're
who we saw.
wrong. Yeah.
Ow. It's been a while since Zoro got really messed up. And we'll never see her again. Well, they left them all alive. At least for now. Jesus.
我々 CP9 は F のために命を使う覚悟と人体の限界を超えるための訓練の超人的大義6式よく身に染みたはずだ。世界政府の重要任務を任される我々世界一海賊団のお前たちとの桁違いの戦闘力の差が世界的機密事項。お前たちごときが手を触れていい山では
作動の時間よ。私たちも急がなくて。
だがせっかくだ。最後に面白いものを見せようか。
He knew.
What the fuck?
What's the matter with you?
What is that? Is that how fucking Whitebeard got so giant? Is this something to do with that?
It's a giant fruit.
I mean, I don't think it's a fruit.
Not only can he expand his body, or not only can he just harden his body, he can also just expand it.
Do you think it's a fruit?
I don't know.
Did he say it was a fruit and I missed it?
He didn't say that.
I mean...
He said, I'll show you something interesting.
I feel like it must be like the combination of all the 6 powers or something.
If you use them all at once.
I don't know. Jesus.
Man.
Well, that was kind of a slower, more drawn-out episode. I don't blame them for doing that after the pace that they've been going at.
It was just them just dunking on the straw hats the whole time. It's
and
just
Robin
like,
walking towards the window.
Yeah, like...
and then she left, and for the second time today said...
You'll never see me again.
See
it's
me
like
again.
That kid. You'll never see this face again. As he like walks out with a suitcase or whatever.
Jesus, 6 powers. And yeah, I guess they've been like raised. You think that there's like an island somewhere where they raise like sleeper cell, fucking super soldier children?
That'd be kind of crazy.
Maybe that's where Robin's from. Maybe she did, like, do all this shit. Is that O'Hara? The O'Hara incident? I don't know. Maybe?
I don't know.
They're all, like, the same, roughly, you know, around the same age. Blueno might be a little bit older, but, like, they all seem like they're roughly, you know, late 20s.
Yeah.
Like, Kaku, Khalifa, LUCCI. It's weird how they all have they didn't fake their names. They're still calling maybe they don't have names.
Yeah.
They're still calling each other by their names. Maybe they just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, if no one knew them anyway, like if they were just nothing before this, then it wouldn't really matter whether it was the real names or not. They could change them later. Man. This whole thing is just
I just
crazy.
figured they would have had different names because, well, only because of Khalifa, because it's like cauliflower, and then it's iceberg, like iceberg lettuce.
Oh.
I thought that was like like if it was a vegetable thing with them or something. I don't know about the other ones, the other names. Like, I don't know if LUCCI is something with that, or Kaku. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that those were... So, anyway. Either they just... Khalifa and Iceberg just coincidentally have vegetable-themed names, and it's not a fake name, it's her real name, or it's not her real name and they just don't have real names, or they don't care about their names.
Yeah. Poor Chopper. So sad. And these guys are just it's basically just showing how strong they are so that now when we're gonna go after them again, we're gonna really have to have a plan. If they just can't get hit, can shoot you with their finger, can do like, you know, whatever.
Do these crazy kicks, jump in the air.
They can do all kinds of stuff. They can just kind of do anything, and seemingly none of them have devil fruit abilities, but they also could. We don't know, you know.
Well, it seems kind of like the similar shit that Zoro... Am I weird for saying that? That, like, it seems like the kind of shit that Zoro does, and the fact that Zoro knew, he was like, hey, get down, I realize what's going on here. With the slice. It's kind of like with his sword beams and shit.
I don't know if he knew that because it was, like, a similar thing, or just because he knows about slices.
Yeah,
you know,
that could be true.
He's a slicing kind of guy.
Were you gonna make another joke of like he'll slice a wall just to put it back together? It's just the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, and now they're burning the whole building down. Apparently, I like how Nami pulled out the climb attack just to
just to
ready
flex.
to go. Yeah,
just to say that she had it.
Just in case she's in the middle of a giant fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested if all of them go in, then we're gonna have to track them down. Well, also the whole thing with Franky, they're gonna go after Franky. We don't know. We don't know anything about we don't know where Franky is. We don't the Straw Hats don't know that Franky right now is going after Usopp, and therefore Usopp's probably gonna get caught in the crossfire of these guys going after Franky. But I don't know that we're really ready to fight them, just yet. Or if they might. I mean,
I don't know what we could get that will make it better. Maybe Usopp and Franky with their tools will somehow be able to get a fucking, maybe Usopp's the missing link to all this with dials and things. Maybe he can do something different to fuck with these guys.
Do you have a photocopy dial? We can
What?
photocopy the blueprints, and then even if they have them, at least we still have them too.
See what happens next time. Leave a like, subscribe. Let's go. Sorry, what?
Okay.
He's a fucking lichen? Oh, devil fruit.
Cheetah fruit.
Wait. So you were
Cat fruit.
You were a part of Foxy's crew the whole time? Oh, leopard. Lucci the leopard.
I didn't know leopards would be so wide.
I thought he was for when he was transforming and before he turned into a cat man, I thought that he was combining all of the 6 abilities to alter his body. But he also has a devil fruit.
I just want to know why is the leopard that
Wide?
why the leopard just been hitting
I mean, what
upper
would you
body
think?
day?
Why is the reindeer
true.
child a fucking giant too? He's bigger than everyone else.
That's true. But he started as a deer, then he went into a human.
Yeah, so why does the human fruit make him fucking huge? And why does he still have hair?
I don't know.
If he's full human mode. You're asking the wrong questions, lady. Also, why is Robin still on the Mary? Fuck this bitch.
We'll never see her again.
Yeah, I mean, she said it herself. She's done. Why are we still chasing after her? Fuck this hoe. She betrayed us. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's already gone off.
Everyone, come back to consciousness. That's interesting.
Oh, so he's doing the crocodile thing where he's trained his devil fruit. Don't say monster when Chopper's right there. Let them come.
Oh my
What?
god! Why'd you even bother lighting the place on fire?
Is this what Mihawk did? The Tempest kick with his fucking sword? Remember when he cut the gigantic boat that was the size of this building?
Oh!
If there is a connection, I don't know.
Oh!
Chopper's okay.
I know. I just feel so bad. He always just has bad time.
He's a very dependable man.
Oh.
Kick his ass. Oh!
Ow.
That's his one weakness, getting stabbed in the chest with a fucking sharp object.
Yeah. As I was just saying, oh, it's a good thing they don't have sharpened nails.
Son of a bitch. And in the left side too, that get his heart? Don't land in the water. Jesus!
He's gone.
Mugiwara no Luffy blasting off again, I guess. But Zoro, you can cut through metal.
That's only in special circumstances. Oh no.
And he's using the sword that can cut through anything. I think, if that's the one.
Well, he's just being a nice guy. He's removing us from the burning building.
Exactly. Maybe he does have a heart.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The thing Zoro's a good what? Whoa.
Whoa.
Is that the current town because of the
Because of the storm?
or is it rising tides over time?
I better grab
there
that sword.
Is there like is this like Wind Waker or something? Like where fucking I guess you don't know Wind Waker.
No.
Great Flood. It's like now the only thing in the ocean are like a bunch of islands that are like the peaks of mountains and stuff like that.
I wonder if she actually has it. Franky just gave it to her instead. He's like, I don't want to fucking deal with this. Oh my god!
New profile pic acquired.
これで事件が闇になったがどれほど優れた造船技師であれ大都市の市長であれ市民が巨大な政府に立てつくものじゃないもう一人のトムの弟子フランキー・フラムの持つ設計図を奪い
Ooh.
But he's not on the crew
Yeah, he's not on the crew
anymore.
anymore. What is this?
You guys live in a place that's like 90% water. You're telling me you don't have a good, like...
Pump system?
Yeah.
I guess they don't need to worry about fires that often in this place.
Ouch.
So they only threw her like 5 feet out, where they threw the guys like fucking.
What about Chopper?
Chopper's still stuck there. Oh, I bet he's gonna save Iceberg and Polly.
Good, we need some credible witnesses over here. What about the mouse? I hope they save him.
Maybe he'll help Chopper get out. These guys are moving
Yeah.
with the bird. Oh my god.
Whoa.
It's a creepy mask.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you're gonna like how that goes.
Ooh, I like this. What the hell's happening?
Oh, he told them.
Wait, did they load the Mary into a safe place?
Oh.
Well, we see he does have a heart. Oh, nice. They have... Okay, so the Mary's safe for now until these guys show up. Then why are you in the eye catcher but in the commercial break?
Just hyping you up.
Thank God you have a secret base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this guy's in such a great shape to fight everyone else off.
Meanwhile, this guy's like a expert shipwright.
Yeah.
Wait, is he the one who's gonna join us?
I fucking
Is he the shipwright we've been looking for?
No.
Oh shit.
Absolutely
Lindsay's
not.
gonna have such a good time.
No, he wouldn't leave his family or these two ladies.
Well, they're about to all die. And maybe the ladies will join us too, then Sanji has a couple more ladies around.
Yeah. Sad we're not getting the full versions of those songs.
I'm sure somebody's made them.
Whoa. Hope Luffy's okay and didn't get into the water.
Yeah. Annual. I forget if we heard that it was annual already, or if it just happened sporadically. Yeah. Rooftops. Several hundred years ago. Oh, the island's sinking. Okay.
Don't you like live in a place that's famous for shipbuilding?
Oh, this is maybe the story of how they got. Oh, the train, not the shipbuilding thing. I guess they wouldn't have enough lumber to build ships if there wasn't the train. On second thought. Puffing Tom. Puffing Tom.
I wonder if he built it.
The train.
Cool.
We actually, we heard Puffing Tom. It's like a Steamboat Willie joke that I made. Tom saved their life.
Oh no. Like, I feel bad for them from getting beat by that guy, but I also don't.
Yeah. I love how they go from we're deep cover spies to we're wearing all black and killing people in the street.
And I'm putting on a mask and then immediately taking it off.
This is top secret information. We've been keeping it secret for years. No one knows of our existence.
Let's fly through the night.
I mean, this makes sense, but like, not everyone knows that they betrayed at this point.
Yeah.
You know, they could still, if they weren't wearing evil person clothes, they could probably pass off as nice people still to everyone who wasn't killed. Isn't that the point of killing everyone? Oh, no ending. Oh, this is the Mary funeral video. We're gonna see baby pictures of Mary.
Oh, Karoo! Why? Oh. They make it so sad. This shot is so sad. Just like everything's all like busted up and like, you know, the sails aren't. It's just so sad. They had no business making that sad. This episode wasn't even sad.
Oh, Mary.
Yeah.
Good ending, though.
I like Franky was all crying about Usopp's story.
Yeah.
So inspiring to him, and then he gets all pissed off again. He's like, "Yeah, let's just put aside our feelings towards each other." And Usopp's like, "I haven't even been listening to you. If I'm being honest, can you shut up?" Yeah, that was funny.
But good guy Franky, he didn't blow up the Mary. He saved the Mary.
At least for now.
Yeah, until they show up, because now they know what's going on. But Zoro should be nearby. If he got thrown in the same direction.
Well, he'll probably have to try and find Luffy. Hopefully he didn't get into the water.
I doubt it. I mean, he's not gonna die, so
Yeah.
it's whatever. But they got separated again.
I love these crazy people just like on the roof in the storm.
Yeah. What were they talking about?
They were like, "Oh, there's a big fire."
Gallo's office. Well, I don't know, but often bad feeling turns out to be right. Hope everything's okay. Seriously, it's all because of that thing. It just shouldn't exist. So she knows all about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's like Tom's wife. That's why she's working at the train, or her sister, or his sister, or something.
Could be interesting. That shot of the bird.
Like I said, new profile pic unlocked. New eye catches are good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they threw Luffy through the wall across town, and then through that hole they were able to throw Zoro even further, and then they're leaving and they're like, oh, this woman.
We'll just toss her out.
I guess because she didn't put up much of a fight, but.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Man.
Yeah, so there's all the stuff I wanted to go back and look at.
I wish you would just keep that mask on, like it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He was talking about the history of Water 7. Mm-hmm. So the Puffing Tom, that's the name of the... that's crazy that we didn't put that together, because it's just been so long since we heard that, but that's the name of the train, which was created by Tom, the shipbuilder, the legendary shipbuilder guy.
Yeah, that's cool. To sort of give peace of mind that, like, if this place keeps sinking, you know, they can leave.
What I was thinking from it was, this guy, he's like a legendary shipbuilder, or in a line of legendary shipbuilders, not the person, obviously, who originally made Pluton, but, you know, badass. He created a train, and we haven't seen any other... have we seen any other trains? Like in East Blue or anything?
No.
Is there trains connecting like one of those cities or in Little Oak Town? No.
No,
I don't think there's been any other trains anywhere. So if he, a part of this long line of like crazy shipbuilder guys, what does that mean that Pluton, like what kind of a battleship is Pluton? You know, is Pluton like a fucking submarine, maybe? Like something like a nuclear submarine?
Because it's not just about boats.
It's not just a boat. They say like a battleship, but maybe they don't even have... maybe most people don't have the...
It's a plane.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's literally a battleship that flies in the sky. Like maybe they don't have like the conception to visualize what it would be. So like they use a word that they understand, like battleship or something. Like if, you know, if Tom is like so good and he had access to all this knowledge and this thing passed down, maybe he used that knowledge to improve everybody's life by building, you know, a more advanced technology than other shipbuilders could manage, or that other people have. Oh, and we haven't seen the rest of the One Piece world, so we don't know if there's trains elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But we've been, you know, decently, it seems like decently far. Maybe we haven't been far at all in the Grand Line, but we've been to one of the other seas. We've heard stories from the other seas. You know, maybe we're just skirting around the fact that there are trains, or it hasn't come up, but
yeah,
a train across the sea is a pretty big deal, I think, where there's no land to lay a track. He was able to make a track using, I mean, probably engineering knowledge, because that's what he's known for. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. It just, you know, if he was able to make the train, what does that mean for Pluton or other things, you know? Mm-hmm. Because there's also the translation thing where battleship, that could possibly, you know, a version of that phrasing could be applied to, like you said, like a flying ship or some other thing. It could be more broad than that. We don't know exactly how how the words in Japanese apply to that. Mm-hmm. So it could be more focused. But then again, we're dealing with matters of history where things are passed down for hundreds, possibly thousands of years. So things, you know, it could be a lot more broad than that. And yeah, linguistics become kind of an issue. And we do know that that's the kind of thing that Oda thinks about with, you know, different languages and stuff like that. It's not just an aesthetic thing like we've been through before. It's like some manga authors or Japanese creators just like, oh, this is English words or this is German words. It's like cool, but they might not consider the depth of meaning in the words that they choose, whereas Oda seems to have more of an awareness than most people to that type of thing. So, you know, I feel like he probably did consider all that, and these may play a role going forward, but we'll see. Mm-hmm.
I think Franky was like, oh, you want to work for me? And he was like,
no, I'm a pirate. I'm trying to think we should do next for your sake. When Aqualagna comes... I don't know if we knew it was a yearly occurrence. We knew that it was something that happens every so often, but...
I thought that they had said, like,
maybe they
it's
did.
like
I'm
the
just
season for it or something, which
maybe, yeah.
Like
I'm not saying they didn't say it. I'm just, I'm saying maybe, maybe I missed it, or maybe, because I'm aware that before it was a common occurrence or somewhat common that they're like prepared for, but I wasn't personally sure if they'd said like a yearly, like, oh, this is the month where, every year where this happens consistently. It's more probably as the water level of the sea that's been increasing every year. The back street area you can see now that were built on the rooftops of an old town that existed several hundred years ago. So what was it, 800 years ago that that was like the farthest back one that like the blank century possibly happened, or the blank history happened? Because it was 400 years ago that Skypiea, or that
it was 800 years ago.
Jaya got shot up.
Yeah, it was 800 years ago that the
poneglyphs, right?
Yeah, that there was that whatever the original like battle or whatever in Jaya, like when they were like, oh, we have to protect the history that passed down. But we saw 400 years ago that was when they like went in the sky. Yeah. And they had been talking about a previous history where their people like handed down this thing from the heavens. Mm-hmm. And said all this stuff, and we theorized that like, because they have wings and they're living on the ground, that it had that the island had gone like up and down, or that the people had gone up and down, or whatever. Anyway, maybe all of this stuff, maybe there's like a similar, like around the same time of 800 years ago when the poneglyphs happened, or when maybe an ancient war happened where the Pluton was first created or whatever, or used, and the person regretted it, so they passed down the blueprints or whatever. Or maybe Poseidon, or however you say it, or any other possible weapons, like that critical time where like history was kind of lost. Maybe this has something to do with that, and it's part of a cataclysm, why the seas keep rising. Because on the topic of the seas rising, I think of Wind Waker instantly, because it's like, it's something I grew up with. But in Wind Waker, it was like, and well, if it may, we don't know the cause, whether we don't know the nature of whatever, if there was a cataclysm or some sort of big event. But with the sea levels rising, I was gonna say, if they're rising, they would rise everywhere. Well, they just said, that's why they said the levels aren't rising, the town is sinking.
I was gonna get to that, but I was gonna say also, they could also be rising because and just in this area, because we know with weather patterns in the Grand Line, like there's a winter season cloud that is just, it's making this here part winter. It's completely nonsensical as far as real seasons are concerned. So, and we don't know the shape of the One Piece world. We don't know, it could. We don't. There's already precedent for there's a big gap of knowledge around things. And Oda, likes to say fuck it for, logic where it's convenient for him, and then, create logic that makes sense for his thing. It could be that just around this area, the sea levels are actually rising, and it's just, a consequence of a similar weather phenomenon as the seasons just being different island to island. Because as far as a writing thing, it's just so that there can be different biomes and places for us to adventure, and it's just a convenient explanation for that. That could be the case here. I think that where the story's going, though, we're going to see less of things like the season change thing, or we're going to see stuff like that tied into now this like grander build-up of a thing, where even if this is like this, they say the city's sinking, it's more like, but it's we don't know how much people know or how much people are assuming or anything, so we'll take their word for it that the city is like sinking, but it very, very well could be, the sea levels rising in this area, or whatever. There's just because they say one thing doesn't mean they have all the answers. And there's oftentimes where like people say one thing or make an assumption, and then we learn that it's actually connected to like a bunch of other shit. So what I'm saying is stuff like this, I feel like is going to be less localized on one island to give like a sense of tension, like a blizzard on Drum Kingdom when Luffy's climbing the thing, or you know, water levels rising here to give like a sense of urgency for this flood. It's less going to be just for this arc or just for this story as a point of tension, and going forward, I feel like it's going to tie more into a possible ancient war, calamity, reason for like a connecting thread through all of these things, I feel like.
I feel like it'd be cool if it was sinking, because like, okay, we keep saying like, where the hell is this water coming from? Like, because we were saying originally, like, how is there a fountain? Are they like, have they created a giant pump that is like pumping water out the top of their thing, or is it on a spring, or like what is it? It would be cool if there actually like was a spring, and because it's just like going out, there's like the water level within the spring is like decreasing, so they're just like sinking down because of that.
What if the whole island, like that center structure, is like Pluton, and it's just not even like a normal boat, so to speak? It's like
just a giant thing.
It's just a giant, you know, like maybe you wouldn't even think of that as a boat, but it's like a huge thing, and the way that it destroys islands isn't by some crazy nuke, it's by flooding things or raising the sea level in a certain area by like, I don't know, pulling water from other areas or something. I don't know. Because the city, the island is getting destroyed, you know? Yeah. Probably not.
What's interesting is like the design of it, how there's like rocks. Yeah. Like, so I wonder like when, obviously they built the inner part of the city up higher because they realized that things were sinking. But I'm wondering what the island originally looked like, if it was like more of like a mountain, or if there was sort of cliffs on it. You know, because like a lot of these like areas would have had to be, if there's like entire like 5-story buildings that are now underwater, these like trees and rocks would have had to have been like huge cliffs in order for them to still be out of the water.
It also could just be sediment that's like attached itself to the tops of the city, and like just because of the currents, maybe like eventually land just folded in, and you know, just created this, like maybe it doesn't even go down that far, or maybe under the sea right here is just a bunch more buildings, or under the rocks right there is just a bunch more buildings, or maybe you never know.
I do like that. The like underwater city, like it's very like Atlantis. Like when Zoro flew in there, and then we saw that, it's like, ooh, that's so cool. And then you're like, oh, maybe that's just the flooding. And then it's like, no, that's not just the flooding. Yeah. So that was really.
I wonder if like Oda wrote or like drew the thing of Zoro like falling down, and then just thought like, oh, well, people might think it's just the flood because there's a flood going on. I better have a whole scene clarifying that it was a sunken city.
He's like, ooh, yeah. What if I did a sunken city? It's like, yeah, you literally, the entire setup of this entire arc was that all of these buildings were going to be underwater.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're making fun of it, but he probably had the idea that it was a sinking city way before. That's why he did the flood thing, because it's like a constant layering of that exact same phenomenon. So we're just joking. Everybody relax.
Yeah, very similar again to like a Venice, which I think is also sinking, but also they do get flooding every year. Where it floods, and then it seems like it's really sinking, and then it like goes away, but it is sinking, but just like so slow, like very, very slowly, that you can't really perceive it that much. Yeah, I still hope we get to go on the train.
What relieved people's worries even about the future was the sea train Puffing Tom. You can now go across the sea whenever you want, without a log pose. It's big progress. Sea train really is an incredible thing, huh? Water 7 came back to life. It's all thanks to a great shipwright named Tom, who created the sea train. We're all saved by him. Who is this Tom?
Yeah, we're getting like so much Tom lore. But I wonder if he's like gonna remain kind of mysterious, or if we're gonna learn something even crazier about him.
What if he was just Roger's shipwright? He'd be about the right age.
Yeah. We talked before of like, oh, what if, because we didn't fully know what the blueprints were or whatever, and we were like, oh, what if it was just Roger's ship? Obviously, probably not at this
I mean,
point.
maybe.
I mean,
like,
maybe.
if he was Roger's ship, like, say, you know, big speculation, but if this Tom person was Roger's ship, right? Because we saw, wasn't Roger's doctor the guy who was looking after Laboon? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. He knew Roger. And I feel like he he knew him personally. So he was a doctor, and so we assumed that he was Roger's doctor. I don't know. Well, it's been so
remember.
long. It's been literally like 10 months or something. I don't know if it was confirmed, or if it was like implied, or if we just speculated that based on like context clues. Anyway, yeah. It would be interesting if Tom was, because so what I'm saying is if that guy was Roger's ship doctor, we have precedents for Roger's crew like retiring, you know, doing other shit. So, and that was 20 years ago that he got caught.
Yeah.
Something like that. 24 years ago,
And
I think.
then 10 years ago, Tom built this train.
Yeah. So it makes sense that after Roger dies, everybody scatters to the four winds. And then they pick up different things. Like this, Tom comes here, saves these kids. You know, helps save Water 7. Has his own thing, and it makes sense that he would have a connection to poneglyphs and stuff. If Roger was, he literally wrote Goldie Roger was here on the poneglyph. You know, it would make sense. And to survive, if they took a similar path that we did off of Skypiea, they would need a good shipwright to figure that out. So I feel like they could be setting up a similarly like legendary type status for that. It would fit perfectly in that slot of, on Roger's crew. But what would that mean exactly? I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Would he be alive now, or would he have died? Do you think he's dead? I
Well,
feel
it's
like he has to be dead.
I feel like he's got to be dead because we already did like the fake death of like Franky, like the whole thing of like, Tom's other student was dead, and then it was revealed that he wasn't dead. So I feel like then if it was like, oh yeah, Tom's all dead. Oh, actually, just kidding, he's not dead. Like
nobody said he's dead. They just said that they're talking about him in the past tense. He's not around. Nobody. I don't think has anybody said Tom is dead now. I don't think anybody called out that he died 5 years ago or something. They haven't even talked about him leaving. I feel like there must be some information around his death with how Iceberg or how maybe Franky died, how his death was faked. They haven't I don't think they've mentioned anything. They've just mentioned what he did. They haven't mentioned where he is or what happened to him after.
Yeah, I guess I just assumed that he was dead because
I did too. It makes sense.
Yeah, because especially since now Iceberg had the blueprints and was kind of in charge of everything.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, yeah, I assume the same thing. I think we're supposed to assume that he's dead. But I'm saying that might be
not true.
That might be not true. That might be set up for more backstory or more shit going forward.
Yeah, I'm still interested to see how the freaking lady fits into it. Like,
she's got to be attached
there's like
to Tom.
another key element that is missing here. It definitely has to do with Tom, and like
I mean, she's an alcoholic. She has a granddaughter. She's probably Tom's wife, or sister, maybe.
Yeah,
or something. She works at the train thing. She knows Tom. She knows about CP9.
Yeah. She hangs out with Franky all the time. She hangs out with
Franky all the time and clearly cares about him. Is maybe Franky's mom or mother figure related to him in some way. I bet. And the fact that she also is working for the train thing.
Yeah.
What do you think is up with the frog? The giant sumo wrestling frog that has a name that like is known to want to take down the Smoking Tom. And did Tom have like a fucking rival or...
It's like, God damn it, Tom, I never got to beat you in a battle.
That's connected to this backstory, I bet. What if that, the frog is like... No, it can't be a devil fruit user. It's gotta just be a giant frog. Because if it was a devil fruit user, you just drown, even if he was amphibious. Unless there's some loophole, if you're an aquatic Zoan user, you can swim.
Yeah,
the
even
whole
though
point
that'd be kind of overpowered.
Yeah, that's incredibly overpowered. I mean, it could be,
Yeah, it would be cool if he was... I mean, there's like fishmen, so he could just be like a frog man.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
guy that,
That's true.
you know, jumps in front of trains all the time. What if he wasn't trying to take down the train, he was just trying to kill himself?
Wow. I bet that's another element that's like, oh, that was crazy when that frog fucking jumped in
and then
front
it
of
gets
the
brought
train.
back later.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. There's something going on here. What if Tom is the little like Doraemon bunny creature that's with
What
that
if
little
Tom
girl,
just is...
and he's a Zoan user? Tom is just what?
Tom just is the frog.
What if Tom just is the old lady, and they're
It could
lying
be.
about, you know, her identity?
You never
Probably
know.
not.
What if he's the granddaughter?
Oh, I think that the old lady has to be connected to Tom, and she's probably depressed, and that's why she's an alcoholic. That's what I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say. I don't know if I said that. Anyway.
I wonder if Tom and Cutty Flam were supposed to have died within, like, the same incident or something. Because she started drinking 8 years ago, which was when Cutty Flam died.
We don't know if she started drinking. Did she start?
Yeah,
she said that?
I'm pretty sure she said, like, 8 years ago.
She started drinking?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that
No,
part.
she's
so
like-
that would add to my...
Because the
my
granddaughter
thing, yeah.
was like, oh, you have decades of experience. And she's like, oh, I don't. I only have 8 years or something
Right.
like that. She said that very specifically.
8 years
And
is-
then it
yeah.
was like, oh, 8 years ago, Cutty Flam died. And then it was like the thing of her when she started drinking and was like, oh, did you hear
Yeah,
that
Tom,
he died?
she knew Tom, maybe was married to Tom, or loved Tom, or knew Tom, or whatever, was attached to him. Tom died, so did Cutty Flam. Frankie comes back, he's alive, he's a cyborg now, you know, to maybe Tom turned him into the cyborg, because he made the train, and he knows all about this ancient fucking shipbuilder engineer stuff. I bet Tom, in his dying breath, was able to, like, keep Frankie alive by turning him into a
Here,
cyborg.
let me just...
Wait, your heart's gone. What are we gonna do?
I have this old...
I only have one choice. Cracks open a Coke, feeds it into his veins. Like,
I only have one option, just, like, grabs, like, some train parts, starts, like, jamming
I mean,
them.
it would make sense why they thought that. I mean, we mentioned that before. Everybody thought that he died, and now he's a cyborg inexplicably, and his, you know, person, his dad or their father figure was like a crazy engineer who built a train. The only train that we've currently seen in the whole world. I bet that's pretty much what happened.
That would be kind of crazy.
And Tom's dead now. But maybe Frankie carries on his will because he, like, is a cyborg man. Mm-hmm. And he can't be, maybe he won't be able to be, like, hit or hurt by all of the 6 fighting style, whatever that called, the 6 fighting moves, what's it called?
Something like that.
Something
I
like
don't know.
that. Maybe he'll be more resistant to those abilities because he's, like, a cyborg man.
Mm-hmm. It's just interesting that since Tom made the train and stuff, I'm surprised, I guess, like, everyone in the town was yapping about Iceberg all the time, you know, like, oh, Iceberg's just the best guy ever. So it's interesting that everyone's not yapping about Tom as well, considering that he, like, made this train that has apparently just, like, made everyone's lives a million times better.
I feel like people are just more concerned with the nows, and right now Iceberg is the big guy, you know? I feel like that's probably it. I feel like, and also it's just, you could chalk it up as, in many cases, the story focuses only on what it wants us to know and wants us to think, not about, you know, I feel like a lot of times we, in particular, confuse that with, Oda hasn't thought of how he's gonna reveal the thing that he wants to reveal, so he's just kind of putting things in front of us. But I think Oda is just unapologetic about, you know, hiding his hand, about, you know, how he's just like, I don't want the audience to be thinking about this in this way, so I'm just going to not show them or not talk about that, you know. And I feel like, you know, it can be mistaken for, oh, he hasn't been foreshadowing this or talking about this just because he, you know, maybe didn't think about it in this way until it got revealed, and then, you know, whatever. But I feel like in general, it's usually just that, you know, if he doesn't want you to be thinking about something, he just won't show it. Not that he hasn't thought of it, you know. I feel like that's the thing that I'm, like, realizing as we go forward, especially with this arc where so many things are clearly so planned.
Yeah, this arc, I think, especially is, like, not that previous arcs were bad, but like this arc, it seems like there's a lot more thought going into it of all of the more minor reveals and like the overall storyline and things that seemingly came on as very random. And I still think, like, you know, the moment we see this like train flying through the ocean and this like frog flying out and stuff, it's like that's very striking and extremely random. And I do feel like that was probably still like in a moment of inspiration that he like had that thought.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You don't think that he like
100%? That's what we just had a full conversation about, like how it must be all connected to Tom. There's no, and it was called the Smoking Tom, like or the Puffing Tom. There's no way it was just like an image he had, and with no backstory connected to it, or no reveals that he had planned, or no characters that he had planned. Whether it was connected in this way to Franky, I think, you know, or I think it was probably like 90% formed in that, but like there's no way that he's a cyborg. His master was like a crazy engineer who created the train, has the same name as the train. This lady who is an alcoholic, the first thing we see her, she's like red-faced and like drinking wine. And it turns out that she, you know, it was later revealed, like, these reveals can't happen. Like, and that the frog, I'm sure, has some part to play in all. There's no way, like, I'm sure, as far as a first inception, at some point he thought, oh, giant frog sumo wrestling a train, this clash of, and there's, you know, as far as thematics, there's, like, there's themes of, industrialization of Japan, moving this westernization movement, you know, the bringing of this new technology with this traditional Japanese fighting style fighting, you know, it's a big conflict, post-war Japan type stuff going on there. You know, I feel like there's cultural roots in that image, and that's probably the basis of that, but there's no way with all this stuff that it, yeah, I feel like with some cases it was far more, I say improvised, not like it was completely out of nowhere and had no attached tissue, but there are times where it's clear that he has that image. He has like a striking, you know, a spread in his mind where he's like, I want this big moment to happen. And like the start connects to it, and then it's just kind of a bunch of random shit until it gets serious. That's been the trend in a lot of different cases. This is the first case where I'm a lot more confident with all the pieces that we're getting, that like how he chose to reveal it, I think, changed somewhat. But what is happening, I feel like had to have been planned. There, like, I just with Franky as a character, there's no way that all of this was like as random as previous, you know, build-ups to the arcs. You know, that's me. That's how I see it. So I guess
I wasn't saying that like it was random up until that point. I'm saying that like now that we've seen all of this stuff, like I guess what I'm saying is it still feels like that like he might have pictured that, and then like thought of the story like if you see, like, I don't know if it was an interview because this was a long time ago, but like C.S. Lewis talking about creating Narnia, and it's like, oh, I had this like in my mind of like a fawn walking with parcels and with this lamppost. And it's like, oh, these two weird things. I have like a fawn, but then there's a lamppost. It's like, oh, I see this train and then this like sumo wrestling frog, and it's just like these two like random things, and then you're like, okay, then what is what emerges from that? What happens in that story? I guess that's what I was saying. Is it still? It
You're
still
like
seems like it still seems like I know the image of that then could have inspired him to, you know, oh, and then in that place, what is this? Oh, I know we're going with shipwrights, and then it's the expansion. But to me, and I think a lot of times like people, like in the case of Narnia, for example, the first image that we see when you're reading Narnia is not the lamppost scene. It's the kids like in the, you know, getting sent away from the war. And it's a much less of a captivating start than that image, and then you get to that. But what I was saying here is like the story starts on what I feel like may have been his inspiration thing, so we like get thrown into it almost in the way that he might have. It's like whereas a lot of times, we say like, oh, there's like this, and then he figures out what's gonna go on, and then it like clicks, and then we're like, oh yeah, I'm on board. This, it feels like was more of a natural progression of like the inspiration, and then the story was very smooth and like built up in like a very, you know what I mean, trying to say
I feel
here?
like he had a lot more of it before the arc started this time.
Yeah, like it feels like
a lot of times he'll have that image, that like that inspirational image, and it feels like, anyway, it feels like he gets like this inspirational image, this like, oh, that would hit so hard. How do I make that happen? But that answering that question takes the first like quarter of the arc. Here, I feel like it was mostly solidified beforehand. I feel like the only thing so far that I feel like was maybe more fluid was just the reveal of how many of the shipwrights were going to be revealed right now as CP9. I feel like there was a potential path for Oda with this arc where only one of the shipwrights was going to be evil, or many of them were going to be like they are, but only one was going to be revealed as evil at this point, and then and be the masked one under the surface. And I feel like it was probably always going to be Bluno or LUCCI in the mask with Robin killing Iceberg. But then the mask change, why aesthetically, ask yourself, like if you're writing One Piece, why aesthetically would you change for the second go around, make Bluno or whoever was in the mask, why would you make all of them wear different masks? Well, it's because if they're all wearing the same mask and you're drawing a black and white manga, it's a lot easier to tell them apart if they're wearing different masks. If there's one guy, you can make it the same mask as everyone else who's in the streets. These are similar looking.
Because you know it's that one guy that's with Robin. And
then I think there was a change that, like, maybe, like, as far change is strong, but like going from I'll go out on a limb. I think that there was a change from just, oh, there's this one person who is taking this part of the job. I think that it's probable that there's going to be multiple shipwrights. All the people that are currently bad were probably always going to be bad. But I think originally maybe it was going to be like a murder mystery where one of them was taking upon the thing to like kill Iceberg with Robin. But, you know, but then as it turns from just that one event or like, you know, a more behind the scenes type thing to like a big reveal where everyone comes together, and that's a more powerful moment than revealing one of them's bad and then having another reveal where another one's bad.
You could reveal them
it's
at
way more
different
powerful.
times.
So then when that decision's made, we go from Bluno wearing like the classic, you know, whatever I guess Venetian mask, whatever people have been saying in the Patreon comments, to, okay, we need to differentiate all these people and give each of the masks more personality. So we're gonna make one of them a skull, one of them like a bull, one of them a bear, rather than just like these, you know, these masks that are common place amongst the other things. But I feel like I said, the people who are bad, after thinking about it, I think probably were always going to be on CP9. I think what changed is just that it went from like many little reveals or a prolonged, protracted thing to just one big confrontation in the big like Golly company thing. Everything else about this arc, it feels pretty set in stone. And yeah, I feel like it feels pretty set in stone. And I think Franky, you were like questioning his outfit change. I think that was literally just to make most people think like, oh, is he involved in this somehow? I think that's probably literally it. You know, all that to say, I think that this arc, I think so far has been more. There wasn't much of that like. That sort of frantic weirdness at the first like intro, like we get introduced to the island, and then as we're learning about the, you know, usually we get introduced to the island and it's like the structure of the island is very well thought out. Oh, the dials. Oh, the big execution platform. Oh, this part of the town, and oh, the aqueducts are working in this way. It's like Oda clearly has all those like interesting things going on, and he introduces those. But as far as like after that first introduction, there's like usually this little bit where the plot like has to kind of take shape, and that, you know,
and then it clicks.
He's like a potter, like molding it into place, and then it clicks, and then we move forward. I feel like that period was almost completely missing from this. I like, it feels way more solid, you know, in its consistency. I feel like, and I love, and to me that's what separates this arc from the rest of the arcs, in my opinion, or from the rest of the story up to this point.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily anything else. It's literally just that it feels like there was less of that weird gelatinous
but it still feels the
in
same.
middle.
And like what we've talked about before is like that even with some of that like you know, like, weirdness that has happened sometimes where you're just like, oh, suddenly Vivi's a princess. And it's like, what the heck?
Like that.
And
that's the extreme example that everyone points out. Like, oh, that, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just that.
It's not just that, but that's the most obvious example.
And it's the one that Oda has like, admitted to, quote unquote.
So, in that situation, it's like, what we still like is that he just goes where he wants to go, and that's how you get the most genuine story, and that's like One Piece's biggest strength, is that no matter what's happening, it's clearly something that he wants to write. He doesn't write himself into a corner where then you can just feel like, oh, this isn't very genuine, and I can tell that he's not excited about this, you know? You don't really get a lot of that because he allows himself to be free and switch it up however he wants. If he decides that a gun wants to eat a dog devil fruit, then he's gonna do that. And he doesn't limit himself. He installs things and then immediately says, actually, just kidding, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what makes it really good. But what's cool about this is that with this arc, even though it seems more planned, it seems like he's still like, I don't know if he just like got a little bit of ahead or like had such a burst of inspiration that he was able to like go through that, but then like revise it within his mind before, like you're not like, you know, when you have the weekly schedule and you're like, oh, then this, then this, and this, and then it's like, oh shit, well, I'll just...
I feel like this one has been brewing in the background
for
a
it's like,
time.
it's clearly very, very...
I mean, we know it has, because it's dealing with Pluton, which was sort of brought to the story in Alabasta.
Yeah, but it's just, it feels more, it just like, almost like I had like a second pass to just like make it very clean and very smooth, but still keeping in like all of his original ideas that he like must have, because like, you know, it's a story, it's all made up, he had to think of it at some point.
It feels, the second pass thing is a good way of putting it. It feels like it had maybe another draft compared to other arcs. That's what it kind of feels like. Like if you're reading a book or something, or an essay even. Like
how we talked about in early on One Piece, how it would feel like almost every arc was like a refining of the previous arc, of how, you know, how Arlong Park felt similar to the other things, but it was like it was like he took everything that he learned there and then like refined it and came out with the best version of it before moving on to try something else. It's like this feels like I feel like he has really developed as a writer, and not that he was bad before, but just like knowing like the way that manga is written, I feel like that's very challenging, especially for someone as creative. I think that if you're, you know, more fine with making a more basic story, it's easier to work within the confines of like, this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. But if you're extremely creative, like obviously he is, you like the freedom to be able to go around and make a very expansive and very explosive story. I feel like, I don't, just something about this arc feels different, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I had something else to say, but I don't think it matters because we're already an hour into this recording.
Wow. This episode wasn't even that crazy.
No, but we had some time to sit on the last few, and I feel like now that, because I think the reason why there's so much to think about is because a little bit more got explained. But what got explained fit, like it I don't know, it just the way that like we got past the main reveal, and now we're seeing how that sort of change of circumstance is going to affect the rest of everything. Yeah. And it feels like I guess here's the best way to put it. It's like how we talk about you when you said like, oh, the story clicked. It's like, you know, we get when Luffy punches Vivi and then says, fuck it, we're going to Alubarna. Or when we finally get to Chopper's backstory. Or when, you know, what's another good example? I feel like those are two good examples. Or when Vivi becomes Princess Vivi and not just random lady, you know? That feeling of, okay, Oda has found the story. And, you know, we'd kind of fucked around a little bit, or like explored the island, learned about this, learned about that, got to know these people, learned about an element of the island that's going to be key to the plot, like the dance powder or whatever. You know, there comes a point in the arc, in One Piece arc so far, that like, okay, this is the story that Oda like it's almost like you can see him as a writer like going through and like finding what he finds interesting, keeping it, and then he'll like find the story, and the story like then takes the forefront. I feel like that point wasn't like a big, okay, now we're turning the page, new chapter of the arc, and now we're into like what this arc is like, quote unquote, supposed to be, or like we're now on the road to achieving what this arc is meant to achieve, to the greater story, to the characters, or this is the real story. This isn't just an island where we're wacky and fighting random fodder. There's often been those times where it's like, okay, here it is. And here in this arc, it's not as simple to find, and it's getting less obvious. I feel like last arc was the same thing. Or not Foxy, but in Skypiea, it was less obvious exactly where that point was. In this, it's even less obvious. There's multiple points where it feels like there might have been that sort of click moment or that sort of shifting of gears. But it's not. It feels way more fluid from the very beginning, and I think that feeling that there's not that abrupt little, okay, and now the engine started. Now the thing's really moving. There hasn't been that sort of change of pace. It's been a constant build with stakes the whole time, and the stakes have changed as well. At the start of the arc, it was just about the Mary. Now it's about all this other shit, and it doesn't feel like we just went from like, okay, this was an arc about getting the Mary fixed, and now it's an arc about all this other shit, that would normally be where that kind of moment was. But it naturally progressed, and again, I think I think a huge thing that can't be understated so far is that feeling of with the character, not the feeling, the way that the characters are separated, the way that everybody's direction. Is a character decision and has to do with their motivations, and it doesn't have necessarily to do with just, oh, there's too many people, I don't know how to make, or it's too complicated to make. I don't know how to make this work. It's easier to make this emotionally significant if there are less bodies to draw on screen or less people to have to interact on the page. So I'm going to just remove them. Instead, that process is a product of each character's decision and desire, so it makes sense and it feels natural. Again, there's not that like cutoff point with the characters or with the story. Anyway, sorry.
And I think what I also like is because typically in One Piece so far, we've had a lot of the villains have been very like basically the Franky family.
Yeah.
But just like different scalings of that. But I feel like what's really cool about this is when the Franky family gets introduced and you're like, oh my god, not these guys again. But it turns out that they aren't even like the main antagonists. They're like a side antagonist. And they're almost endearing a little bit once you get to know Franky, and like you just kind of feel bad for them because they're a little bit pathetic. Yeah. Like, I mean, they did beat up Usopp and but like they're very small time, and then we get actually interesting villains with a betrayal because we got to know them and like think that they were cool as just character, like we got to meet them as just characters that were cool. So they didn't even need to get hyped up that much as villains. The time of like, oh, I'm such a crazy villain, it was a lot quicker because we already saw them and knew them. So like the fact that they betrayed us and then they just beat us, and then it was the cut down time on them getting introduced as like a villain. It was very effective because it was just like, it was shocking, and it didn't need to be like, oh, it's me, the most badass person in the entire world that you didn't know until right now, and now I'm gonna like do something. It was just like, we betrayed you guys, smacks them around a bit, and then it's just like reveals that he has a devil fruit, and then they left. It was just a bit more intimidating, and a bit more serious in their presentation and in the way that they sort of carried themselves.
I think that what you mentioned about the length of time to like establish a main villain as a main villain being annoying, I feel like also it's somewhat difficult because we're watching the anime, so it's an adaptation. I feel like in the manga it'd be a lot more snappy regardless. But yeah, Eneru and Crocodile, particularly Eneru, had a little bit a lot of just like, ooh, I'm so evil type thing. or like, oh, I'm the strongest or whatever. But what else was I gonna say? Shit about. Oh yeah, and I feel like I like looking back, I feel like Franky being introduced the way that he was with a bunch of goons, which I feel like it's supposed to remind us of like Baroque works.
Yeah.
Like that type of shit. I feel like that's on purpose. And the fact that, you know, especially as we get to a betrayal, like we have kind of a model of as One Piece viewers of this point, not us two, but like, you know, the audience, the first time watching audience, like you, for example, watching this, the first time viewer at this point in the story has a model for how One Piece villains, like there's a pattern, there's a rhythm to how One Piece villains are introduced, how their minions are handled in terms of a fight. And I feel like now that you bring that up, I feel like that's clearly a subversion on Oda's part as well. It's a choice where he knows that there's this sort of vocabulary that he's built up in his story that people associate with his villains and with his plots. So, you know, not only doing like a betrayal story, it wouldn't have worked if we didn't think of Franky as like this place is crocodile, or this place is whatever. You know, this guy who's kind of an outlaw with his fucking minions who's like being a menace. If we didn't see him as like that guy, then we wouldn't have, you know, we would have been looking out for people. Who's the bad guy? Like, is it one of? Are we gonna get betrayed? Maybe you know, Oda would have had to tip his hand more in a different direction to like reveal that there is some sort of plot going on. But because we were so focused on Frank, like when I say it, it sounds so obvious, but like it, you know, just comparing it to everything else. That nuance is like a creative choice, and this is like, I feel like this is an important point to make. It's this we often like call out like the holes and like try to find the holes in things, because those holes are what you can learn from as like a storyteller or a writer. So like, you know, like I think a lot of people are annoyed because they just want people to ignore like, you know, little inconsistencies or little like weird little fucky things that you have to kind of headcanon, or just kind of don't worry about that little whatever it is in every different circumstance. It could be just little tiny things but have a larger impact on how your understanding of the story works. That works both ways. So like when something like that where Franky is like a distraction from the, you know, when you say it out loud, it seems like such a basic thing, but it's used to such effect because of the trajectory of the story up to this point, and because of our expectations that have been set up by the story. It shows like whenever you see that, whenever you can look back on a plot or on a little bit of narrative and then see like, oh, that's due to clear self-awareness of how an author notices their audience are interacting with their work, and how that interaction between the audience and the work up to this point is based on an author's sort of tendencies or their natural focus, where they put focus in their story naturally. Those sort of instinctual writing decisions and interests that come through that personality that's like more raw in the work, building that up for so long, and then when an author has sort of created this connection and used those instincts and like sees, oh, I make a damsel in distress often, like I you know, as I'm writing my story, I notice that like if I just don't think about the story I'm writing, naturally a damsel in distress comes up, naturally a crocodile or Eneru-esque villain pops up. See, like after a time doing that, for an author to see how an audience interacts with that and then exploit those expectations via like subverting their own, being self-aware and subverting their own instincts as in terms of writing decision, that's worth celebrating. And that's the kind of writing that gets celebrated. That's like the kind of choices that are conscious and not just based off of convention, or again, not just based off that instinctual thing. They're not just a product of the culture that they're in, writing a story about whatever. It's like it's a creative, you know, it's not just a manifestation. It's like a process. It's a genuine creative process, and it shows like the self-awareness, you know. Yeah. It's very good. It's put on display here in this arc so far really, really well, and I feel like it's going to continue. And getting back off of all that writer bullshit is, so here's a theory about the frog and the train. I bet the train ate a snake devil fruit. It's a boat that ate a snake devil fruit.
And that's how it became a train.
And that's why the frog is fighting the train.
Ooh, because it's a snake and
it's a snake and a frog fighting. That, and it'll depend if there's a slug involved, because then it will go back to the tale of Jiraiya the Gallant, which is the rock paper scissors three-way deadlock that a lot of Naruto is based on, but is a classical Japanese folk tale. That I feel like that would be incredible to find out, because now that we know that objects can eat devil fruit, and a snake is kind of, or a train is kind of like a big snake, it would make sense why the frog is trying to beat up the snake.
That'd be kind of
funny.
funny.
It doesn't like the train because it's like a snake.
That would actually be kind of crazy.
And maybe, what if Tom is literally the train, and he ate the train fruit?
Well, he would have to eat two.
If he could be a cyborg. If he made himself, what if that's a crazy
Thomas
theory.
He
literally is Can you imagine? That's the kind of shit that Oda would do, though.
Yeah. Thomas.
What if Tom is not dead? He and Franky became cyborgs in their death thing.
They're like, let's be cyborgs together. Franky's like,
and then
cyborg himself, he looks over, what the fuck, Tom?
Tom sacrificed himself to bring prosperity to the people by becoming the train. He did not, and that's why the lady wants to work at the train office, is because she loves Tom, and she keeps his memory even though he always has to be a train.
That'd be kind of sad. They would still have to build tracks, though. Because
that's why he doesn't die as a devil fruit user, is because he's on the tracks.
That would be kind of crazy.
Could you imagine that? And then his, like, rival student, like how there's Iceberg and Franky, there's a rival. This is literally Naruto now.
People like, stop bringing up Naruto in the One Piece discussions.
I mean, if there is like the toad and the snake thing, that literally like they're
you can't
common inspiration. It's like, God, why do you always bring up Arthurian legend when you're watching fantasy? Not everything is fucking, Lord of the Rings or whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, that would be crazy. I had that thought earlier, and I'm glad I remembered it, because I wanted to say that. That would be insane. Because I was like, yeah, that would be crazy. Anyway, I feel like that's enough. That's a long discussion. I feel like it was very good.
Yeah, me too.
Summarize your thoughts for this discussion. In a sound. In a word. in a gesture. Yeah, anyway. Best arc of One Piece so far in terms of writing quality.
I agree.
Lots of theories. Snake is a train. See you guys in the next one. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye-bye.